Oh.
Mom!
Hi, everyone. It's Sugar.
And Spice.
And this is our show,
Two Brain Cells Left.
Every week here at Two Brain Cells, in the bimbo-verse, if you will, we have amazing fun guests, we have iconic looks,
Sometimes.
and we have some sickening games to play. Today's lesson is how to be a fashion queen with the fashion icon herself, Naomi Smalls.
So stay tuned.
I can blow more than kisses. I'm the doll on your wish list. They call us sugarlicious, spicy hot and so delicious.
Hi, everyone. It's Sugar.
And Spice.
And this is our show,
Two Brain Cells Left.
Here in the Bimboverse, we're taking you to school on all things cool. Every week, we have super fun guests, amazing looks, we play really fun games, and today our lesson is how to be a fashion queen. Now, Spice, what would you consider a fashion queen?
Well, I feel like this might be a controversial topic because I feel like everyone has different ways they describe it. To me, I would say a fashion queen is a queen whose focus is on the fashion, on the look. I mean, I feel like a lot of people think you can only be a fashion queen if you only reference 90s Mugler fashion shows or something.
The drag race world, I'm
Right.
sure.
But I feel like, but that's the thing. Fashion can turn costumey really quick when the fashion
Like your
wears
look
you.
right now? No.
Well, I feel like when fashion takes over and you just look at the dress first or the outfit first and not the person, I feel like that's when it turns costume. But it stays fashion when you see the person underneath shine through, I feel.
Okay, love that. Would you consider us fashion queens?
Well, I feel like we could be we're definitely fashion queens because we love fashion, but I feel like low-key we're kind of, is that a thing, like a beauty queen? Because we love the makeup and the hair. That's always
Right.
our number one.
Well, we definitely started out as just beauty queens, which was smart.
Girl, we didn't have the
because-
money or budget to be giving fashion back then.
Right. And I always tell young baby queens, don't worry about the dress, throw on your little sheen moment. That was us, how we started at the thrift stores.
Hot mess rockin' AliExpress.
Right. A wise bimbo once said. But it's important to invest in the hair and the makeup because I think that's what gives you your signature trademark, right?
Mhm. No, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited for our guest today, Miss Naomi Smalls. Now, Spice, I think you should let the kids in class today know how we were introduced to Miss Naomi because
Yes.
she doesn't even know this.
She actually was our segue into Drag Race. I remember it was our senior year of high school, and this one icon, she's probably not watching, but her name was Christina Zacher.
Hey, Christina.
And
Hey,
she
girl.
was showing us pictures of Naomi as like a segue for us to watch the show. Like, I feel like she was showing us Naomi to be like, look, drag can be cool, it can be hot, it can be sickening. And she was telling us about her. She's like, look, she's a model. Like, so to me, then I looked it up and I watched season 8. That was the first season I watched. And I would just kind of skip to when Naomi was on.
That's so
Because I was
real.
like 18 or whatever. We grew up watching America's Next Top Model. I was into it for the fashion, the hair and makeup. And I think that's why it's good they have younger queens on the show because it was more relatable to some. I wasn't into drag like that. I was into fashion and models and
You're
that.
not
so,
into dad jokes by comedy queens?
no. But, that was kind of the set. Like, she is what got me into it because I was like, oh, this is something I can get into. And then I remember I was showing you, I was like, girl, look, she's sickening. And you're like, where's the rest of them? And I was like, well, she's sickening.
No, that is so real because I'll never forget Christina in the back of that car. We were like going to Applebee's, right? Because that's the Long
Yes.
Island moment.
Mhm.
And she literally had Naomi's Instagram up and she's like, you need to watch this. Like, because I was telling her, I'm like, drag queens scare me. Like, that's not my thing. Like, I'm
But
not
she
into
knew
that.
she was cunty. She was like, no, if you get into her, you're going to love it. So she
And-
was kind of like our little like segue into it.
Of course. And honestly, I remember looking at her Instagram at the time. And that was the first time I saw a drag queen and was like, wow, this is really cool.
I thought she made it look so fun.
It
Yeah.
looked so fun. And I was like, oh, this is everything I love. Because to me, she was like a walking, like, Bratz doll Barbie come to life. And it's so real because then you were trying to get me to watch the show, and exactly that. I was just skipping to Naomi's moments. And it was so nice when we finally met Naomi last year. And I mean, we're going to save it until she gets here, but she was just so nice and so sweet. And it was kind of like a full circle moment because she
Yes.
was the one that piqued our interest and our kind of entryway into the whole world.
And that's what makes her sickening.
That's what makes her sickening. Let's bring out our guest,
Wait, we
Naomi.
got it, girl. We gotta do our magic trick.
Oh, I'm forgetting.
All
Okay.
right.
One,
One,
two,
two,
three.
three.
Ding. Oh, you gotta say ding.
One,
One,
two,
two,
three.
three. Ding.
Third brain cell has entered the chat.
Well, thank God
We needed
because
one.
we needed an extra one.
Why do I feel like we're low key giving a fashion collection when it'd be like the neutrals or the white and the tan and the black? It's very that.
It really is like a neutral rainbow right now.
But we
I know.
knew to give our most opulent drag because you were here, of course. And I feel like this is kind of like the collector edition special episode.
Oh, I feel that intro was so sweet. You guys are
Oh,
so kind. Aw. It feels like a lifetime ago, season 8 days.
Right.
And
does it feel
Yeah.
long ago?
oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it
Mm,
was like a decade. I mean, ooh, I've been doing
really?
drag for like a decade and then some.
Because
But
that's such a thing. Like drag queens, we all know like how long it's been. Like we don't know like our address, like our social security number. Well, I'll speak for myself, but we know when we started drag. You
for
know?
sure,
Well, let's hope.
2016, Man Down, Rihanna, Nancy
Wow.
Sinatra, Bang Bang,
Well, I'm
340 nightclub.
oh,
Take us back.
well, I'm curious. Do you remember that young Naomi? Because yes, it's been a long time, but do
I mean, you were
you?
Sydney back then, but you've evolved even more. It's like two different queens, but you were still so polished even back then. But we were saying it before camera. I'm kind of jumping in on Sugar. But what was it like when you first started? Like, was there a lot of information? Who were your icons? Like,
Oh, I'm definitely from the era of I'm lucky enough that there were some makeup tutorials
mhm,
online, but it wasn't really drag related
right,
makeup
Mhm.
tutorials. It was like how to do a Kevin Aquan kind of face
Right.
or like Billy B type of makeup. It wasn't like drag. And I remember it was actually Manila Luzon had this like in a dark hotel, like low quality, like digital camera makeup tutorial. And that was like my saving grace. Like
I'm
it
obsessed
was
with
the
that.
first thing I ever saw someone go from like blocking their hairline and their eyebrows to like doing the wig.
Right.
And I just like remember like studying that like the back of my hand.
Oh my god.
Wow.
But I was getting painted by somebody else before I was like when in
Really?
the very early days.
Oh, so
Before I
someone
was
else was
painting.
doing your makeup?
Yeah, so like
No
someone
way.
painted me for like the first like 2 years.
Wait,
Oh my god.
what?
Who is this
Uh-huh.
mysterious
Who?
person?
Oh, her name is Ulani Mata, and she is just like we went to cosmetology school together. She's like,
Wait, this
Word.
is so fascinating. So, how did this start? I mean, maybe we should start with what sparked your interest in drag. That's
mm,
what I'm really curious about because, like Spice was saying, there's so many resources now. There's so much accessibility for drag. I mean, a few seconds scrolling on your For You page, if the algorithm's right, you're gonna see a doll laying down her lace, a girl putting on her lash. There's so many hacks, but back in your day, I mean, even back in
Girl,
our
you're
day.
acting like this is like the 90s,
No, I
2016.
know.
Girl, there was the 2016 beauty makeup stuff,
But
right?
the drag economy has
Right.
evolved so much, and now there's, you could get a wig for this. It wasn't that then, and I think it's important to remember that because that makes you even more sickening because you were one of the first girls.
it's a gag to be called old now.
Well, let's go with
There you
experienced.
go.
Experience.
But definitely from a
Experience.
different decade, like
Mhm.
factually. Like I was on the
Right.
show when I was 21, and now I'm 31. So it's just like
Wow.
Wow.
Girl,
legit
you don't look a day
factual.
over 21. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? Yeah.
Bangs, the power of bangs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was my interests, like as you guys were saying, of like America's Next Top Model. I didn't necessarily know like being obsessed with hair, makeup, fashion, and putting on girls' clothes and the dolls was gonna like turn into wanting to be that, but lip syncing to like
Oh.
some random ass track.
So you didn't wake up one day and like you're in high school and you're like, I'm gonna be a drag queen. Like it was like
Oh,
a evolution.
definitely, yeah, definitely not. I actually remember my sister because I was like wearing heels and makeup, not like like more androgynous. Like if you think like
Was it like a wig and a lash, but like no body?
No,
Or
it was like a fucking like wide brim hat and like blush with no foundation, filled in like
okay,
telephone Lady Gaga eyebrows and like American Apparel sheer shirts
okay, I'm like picturing
and
it.
like wedges, like leather,
Right.
like Rick Owens inspired
And
wedges.
is this just like a night out, and you were just going out,
Oh
and
no, this was like going to English class. Like I was like 10th grade,
Oh
you know?
and you
my
were letting the girls have it
god.
in
Like that
first
was like my
period?
like slow evolution into like wearing non-boy
So,
clothes.
I guess my next question for you is, were there a lot of people in school that would, do looks and dress up and experiment, or were you kind of like the lone wolf on an island?
I'm really lucky. I was the lone wolf on the island.
Mm,
I went to a really small school. There was only like 120 kids on campus
really?
for the
Not
high
even just your
school.
graduating class?
Our graduating class was 41, so it was like
Oh my
Oh my
god!
almost
Whoa! Oh,
half.
you're a small town girly.
I'm from California, but I'm small suburb, I guess.
Right,
Redlands, California is pretty
right.
small, and I was the only out gay kid.
Oh my. To
And
be an out gay kid in high school, those girls deserve all the applause because it's like the trenches out there because you instantly have a target on your back. It's like, that's the gay one.
well, especially 10 years ago. Well,
Oh, yeah.
especially 20 years. I mean,
Did
I
any
feel like
come?
I'm like coming from privilege that I even had like
Right.
Tumblr, like
Right,
if I was like growing up in I don't know, somewhere that doesn't have or in a time that didn't have access to like
right.
internet and like I didn't know I was like not alone out there.
Uh-huh.
I just remember seeing like femboys on Tumblr and like Twitter and being like, "Oh, like they look cunt. Like I could
Right,
look cunt and do
right.
this right and not necessarily have to dress like Billy, Ryan, and Steve in my
Uh-huh.
English class. I can be just cunt
Well, what were your
Davis."
fashion references back then? Like, do you remember, like, what were your first fashion moments? Was it a runway show? Was it just a fashion icon that really got you obsessed?
Ooh, I mean, oh my god, so that sounds so lame because me, I'm like Naomi Campbell obsessed.
Of course.
Of
But
course. I couldn't
I've
tell. No. Well,
but
we might have to battle because Tyra is Spice and I's ultimate number one.
yes,
And of course, the media loves the whole
the
Tyra
I'm
versus
obsessed with
Naomi.
it.
right.
And I do need finish what you're saying, but we're gonna circle back because I need your take on the whole saga of them as well.
Okay. Tyra Banks, love, like America's Next Top Model, like Naima, and Jasleen were like the girls who really like I
Yes.
I don't even think necessarily they thought of themselves as fashion
Right.
icons, but
No.
like I did see them as fashion
Right. Of
icons.
Of
course.
course, girl, yes.
There was a blogger named Brian Boy that was like back in the day.
He was
Yes.
on the
Wasn't he
show
on the
later
show? Yeah,
on.
he
Yes.
was. Yes.
And he was like sassy. He's iconic.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and he's actually the one who he used to have a blog spot. Like it was like
The girls were
brianboy.blogspot.com.
The
blogging.
girls were blogging.
Dot blogspot. It was very crucial. And yeah, those are like my fashion icons. And then of course Lady Gaga really
Mm.
took it there and I saw like the platforms and the wigs
Gaga's
um
impact is crazy.
and then from there it went into Drag Race.
Okay.
So
Oh, okay.
season 2 was my first season and I was just obsessed with Raven.
So were you just obsessed with all the what were they wearing back then? Just like mall
Wet
and
Seal,
wet seal.
Charlotte Russe, Forever 21.
I love a little mall drag moment. I do.
There was no like drag makeup brand, It was like
Right.
Mac was like the most. Well, Mac and Ben Nye were the most like stage makeup.
I mean, I always say it's very hard for CoverGirl to cover up the man. So,
Girl with
unless
the
you gotta take some
gambit.
liberties.
But now there's literally no excuse. Like you can go to CVS and buy Kimchi Chic Beauty, and
No,
that is just
literally.
a whole other ball game.
Well, speaking of kimchi, I had the pleasure of running into you and Kim on my little
Oh
walk through
yes,
Melrose.
yes.
And it was such like a fun moment because you know me, I'm in my hot girl walk moment, just had the energy drink, maybe had a few hits. It was the afternoon. She was living her best. I was walking back from Spices, God bless. And I'm just so in my zone, like feeling so good. And then boom, you and Kim. And for me, I feel bad because I was just like so energetic and I'm like, oh my God, like
I
so
want to
excited to
hear
see you
her
guys.
side of things because you were like, what
Oh,
even happened?
oh no, no, you should not feel bad at all.
Okay.
I mean, we love.
Oh no,
That
we
was your
love.
first time meeting Kim, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And I totally fangirled and I was like, I love your makeup. Like and then I
Danny
walked
DeVito, I
away.
love your work.
I mean, she loves to hear it.
No,
I
she's
feel like
like,
she wants to hear it also from like the girls in the biz.
yes.
Right.
No, because I literally
The
use
girls in
the
the
white
biz.
setting powder every day. And I have her little pastel palette. And Well, I'm curious about your friendship with Kim because I remember watching the show and it was you and Kim that to me, I was like, oh, those are artists.
Mm.
And no shade to the other girls. And I feel like a lot of people wouldn't even clock this because the show definitely prioritizes other things. But to me, and this is why I'm happy to like say it and tell you because sometimes you don't even know the impact you're having on others because I
So
assume
true.
you're just your artist self and we beat ourselves up and we're kind of our own worst critic and bup. But it's, important to know like, oh no, like maybe at the time you look back and you're like whatever, I'm so much better now. But for me to see you and Kim, I was like, oh, like it was so inspiring to
Right? It was
see
the
other
makeup and the
people.
fantasy, the full fantasy.
It was so
Like, yeah.
inspiring. It was so inspiring to see other people that were inspired. Because I always say, if you want to inspire others, you have to be inspired yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we can tell when someone's like their heart's not in it. And then
Mhm.
I
Going
feel
in
like
it.
that just kind of like comes in the details. Like they don't
Right.
think about the details that
Right.
um put together the masterpiece. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like you have to like be so you have to care. You just have to care
It's
to make
true.
art.
And I always think of drag, and that's what, like me and Sugar have like we take so long, but I think of it as you're creating an art project on
Okay,
yourself.
I feel like we actually can all just put our hands in the center because we actually do all take like the same amount of time to get
I
ready, which
know,
is
we
like
I
do.
know.
very rare,
I know.
very very
What do
rare.
you know? We actually do. I was like, how long did it take you to? You're like, oh, like 4
Like
hours.
4.5 hours.
4
Yeah,
hours,
But the
yeah.
girls don't get it because, like, to them, they just see
Think
like a
you're putting on a
smoky
lash or
eye.
whatever. And it's like, no, but it's a lot of work beforehand. The skincare, showering, if you have to shave, just getting the lens in, the lumify, just the
yeah.
gluing down. Like there's a lot of steps even before the makeup.
Mhm. I
Mhm.
mean, I am so jealous of twins in general, but I'm so
Mhm.
jealous that you guys are twins who do drag because you guys are like always gonna be
Excuse
prepared.
me.
Right.
You
There's
have
always
to be
another
prepared. Like
yes.
Yeah.
I show up with a suitcase and there's probably not gonna be if I forget bobby pins, there's not gonna be and there's not a bobby pin just like,
I
running
know.
around in there. You can turn to like your like confidant and be
Right.
like,
The
No, it's
like
confidant,
so
the
true.
silly rabbits.
Could you imagine having a twin that
Does he
also
call you that?
I don't
No. The silly rabbit.
Also, that's my hell. Now that I'm thinking about trying to find a bobby pin and a suitcase of drag, that is like trying to find a damn needle in a haystack.
It absolutely is. Well, it's also I was laughing that you guys have like tan bobby pins and then black bobby pins,
Right.
Oh,
and then there's
Well,
yeah.
gonna be white
Yeah.
foundation, there's gonna be tan
Yeah.
no, I
So
foundation.
you
was,
get the
yeah.
detail. You're a detail girl, thank God.
Mhm.
Well, we knew that, but yes.
Well, no, I was telling Naomi before the other day we were in New York, and I'm like, Sugar, do you have the bobby pins? And she's like, Girl, I have the bobby pins. Don't worry. Then I'm like, Okay, good. I don't have to bring them. And then all of a sudden we get there, and then I'm looking, and I'm trying to pin in a black wig, and it's all the blonde bobby pins. I'm like, Yeah, because this is so helpful. Like, and then the people clock the one thing. I'm like, Girl, it's too much.
Well, I'm curious your take on doing drag and then the audience that observes drag. Because for us, we have to be detail oriented because we're going to get clocked for the one lace lifting.
Mhm.
And it's like, girl, you could spend all day looking flawless, but if one little thing's out of place, they're going to get you. And then it's like, no. But also, I guess
Who
maybe.
cares? Girl, let that lace lift and let those people complain.
But you do have to do drag for like yourself. So you have
I
to be
agree.
like perfect with yourself and the image of like what you see in the mirror. But drag, there's like such blindness to it,
Mhm.
I feel, because
Mhm.
there's just because we're saying that, there's so many details. So like if you're so focused on your inner eyeliner corner,
Mhm.
maybe you are ignoring your levitating sideburn.
Right.
And like
Right.
or maybe you're like your shoe is scuffed and you didn't even see it. But there's just like there's so many details, but that's also what we do. I mean, I recognize myself as I have a little nasty faggot that lives inside of me
Oh,
who's gonna like
girl.
break down everything, you
Girl.
know?
Yes.
Yeah.
This
Yes.
this was the realness we needed today.
But you know what? That's no wonder why that's what makes you sickening because it's almost like you
Can we
have.
tell the that's what makes her sickening story?
Is it too long?
I
I
love
feel like I could get the elevator pitch.
Girl, it's
yeah,
gonna be 15 minutes again.
Okay, a little sugar tangent. So basically,
I'm starting the timer.
okay, start the timer.
No, we should do a segment called like "Shut Up, Sugar," where we give you a minute and you just like ramble on, and then like the time is ticking.
Okay,
And it's
well,
like
it
"Shut up,
starts.
sugar."
It's starting. Can
That's
I do 2
1 minute.
minutes because this is a story?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so basically 2 years ago, Spice and I were with Denali. We had filmed her little ice skating show, and we were reminiscing on the night before. We are at Roscoe's with Miss Naisha Lopez. And Spice and I were basically like obsessed with Naisha. We're telling Denali, we're like, oh my God, she's iconic. She went up to the room and she was bald and beat. You know, she had
Bald
the
and beat.
mug on and she's yelling at the sound guy. She's like, I don't care. They're getting my old shit. They don't deserve my new shit. They're getting my old shit. And I'm like, what's her old shit? I walk down, there she is singing Adele. So she's just such an icon. Spice also realized, she was like, oh my God, you kind of remind me of Jennifer Lopez. And that was the biggest compliment to her because, you know, like we all have our girls
We all
that
have
we
our
really like.
icons. Like if you say I look like Katy Perry, I'm gonna, oh my God. Like
Right.
we all have
So
our girls.
she
You
was
know,
living for
like,
us. It was
yeah.
mutual. The next day, we're telling Denali, and she was like, I live for her, but like she's kind of a bitch.
And
And
then I
then
was
we
like,
were
wait,
like,
but I love, like
girl, I
that's
thought
why.
this was my segment.
Oh,
Thank you. And I was like, no, but like that's what makes no, I'm messing it up. No, edit this out. The time's running out. She goes, but she's kind of a bitch. And we were like, no, but that's why we love her. Like she's a bitch, but she knows it and she's like a fierce bitch. And then Denali goes, you know what? Wait, I'm messing it up. What did
no,
she
yeah.
say?
Denali goes. She was like, oh, you're right. That's what makes her sickening.
Right. Denali coined it. So that's what
But
makes
we've
her
been saying
sickening.
it for years now. We just go, that's what makes her sickening.
And they would never know that we quote them nichely like this, but here we are.
Did you make it in time?
Love.
Did I make it?
Le-
Oh,
Wow.
well,
I just want like a loud voice to
long.
come in like when the time's up and it's like, shut up.
Wait, who tangents longer between you both?
ooh.
I feel like you might.
Girl, all I do is just listen to you on the phone all day. You just go off and I just
Right.
listen.
If I'm, it depends.
Oh, you
I
look
think we're
so
kinda equal.
pretty.
Oh my God, you're so pretty. It's like looking in a mirror.
I love
That's
your
your line.
makeup.
No, literally, I'm like
Yeah,
mesmerized by
no.
both of y'all. I'm just like looking at the makeup. I'm like, wow. Oh my God.
Oh, I literally was like, we showed up at the exact same time today.
Right,
And I
yeah.
saw you got out of the car with like all the sparkles and the eyeliner. I was like, oh,
Right.
she's gorgeous.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
I loved it.
Wait,
Because the last time we saw each other, we were in the hottest club in
Oh
the
my
entire world.
gosh. That was
Yeah.
so
That was
fun.
insane.
It was like a little like housewives pride party, and you came out and you gave, and honestly, you inspired me so
no,
much.
you were so inspiring me to like,
Mhm.
yeah.
To sweat more or to sweat less?
Well,
What did I
no,
inspire you?
and
But just to give that level of a fantasy in a hot room, and I feel like people don't realize a lot of times doing drag, you will be thrown out into the elements.
Mm.
You will be in
Yeah.
a hot little sweaty room.
The
And
gravel.
I think of it as like think of like creating like an artist creating a sculpture. They work so hard on it, then they throw it into the desert to watch it melt. You know, like
Ah.
it's not gonna be the
Melting
same.
Barbie.
Burners.
Yeah. Well, this has been everything. There's so much more to dive into in the fashion world. So when we come back, we're going to get into more of the tea with Miss Naomi.
And we are back with the fashion icon herself, Miss Naomi Smalls. Now, speaking of Naomi, let's get into circle back to the Tyra and Naomi of it all.
Oh my gosh. Oh, well, I'm Team Naomi always.
Well, of course.
Ooh.
I'm Team Naomi, even though Tyra is part of my upbringing.
Okay, so what was the whole situation there? It was basically the media kind of pitting two black models against each other.
It was definitely like a time when like Naomi was really the only like
Right.
black model that was doing anything. So I think like if I were to try and get into like Naomi's shoes during this time, if what Tyra has like cried about,
Right. Everyone has their stories, right.
Like,
Just
is like
a little.
a little bit.
I mean,
Just a
their
little.
I
episode
was
was
in
iconic.
Paris. I was crying in a telephone booth because you didn't say you liked me. Like, I feel like I know the feeling of like, okay, put yourself in the shoes too.
Mhm.
If next season there is a set of TikTok twins
Right.
Right.
Similar to you, right.
similar to you guys who are taking your gigs and doing
Right.
your shoots and
Right.
cut to they're at mom and they have
Their show.
You're so right.
You know,
You're so right.
Right.
like it is you're going to have like some sort of resentment no matter what
For
because
sure.
like
Anyone would. I
it's,
totally
like
get
stepping
that.
on your like professional toes and it's not necessarily Tyra's fault because the bitch was stunning when she like I mean she's always been stunning but
Mhm.
then she was just gorgeous and I think like from what I've I wasn't there in the room, obviously, but
We're like using you as like the fly on the wall. You're like in the womb and you're like,
You're like
yeah.
it just seemed like I think Tyra really wanted Naomi to like her, and if we know anything about Naomi,
Mm.
um, that's not necessarily her
The way to
her
get in her good
Right.
personality. Yeah.
graces.
So, I don't know. I've been obsessed with someone and they didn't necessarily love me back, and I feel like I've had similar feelings that probably Tyra had in that moment.
Right. So yeah, I get
So
both sides for
Yeah.
sure.
yeah.
I just think the episode was iconic when they had the closed set and
This-
Naomi comes walking out and you just hear the click click clack of
the-
like you would think like the crowd's going wild, just like silent.
I feel like no one told her there was going to be no one out there because she looks looking around. She's like, "Oh, it's so quiet."
She's like, I feel like this was a setup.
Can we say
that
though?
unit though was
No, it
that
was
hair was
everything. Wait,
everything.
can we say, speaking of, but that's what makes her sickening.
Mhm.
They were sickening for that because that was two queens up there,
Mhm.
and I secretly I feel like they are both living for it.
Oh,
Like, girl,
Of
it was
course,
the
right.
most gay girly of like the battle of the supermodels.
For
So I
sure.
feel like deep down they loved it.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
feel like-
it was tabloid. Like, all publicity is good publicity.
Right. It's so
And,
true.
yeah.
Well, especially with models. I mean, if you're just a face, if you could have a story like that, especially at the time there was no social media, so I guess it really does
It helps,
it
yeah.
makes you more of a personality because there's drama, there's.
For sure. And I feel like they both offer like completely different things.
Right, they're so
Like-
different. Tyra, to me, she's more like the girl next door. She was
Mhm.
more the personality, but they're both sickening and successful to this day. So work.
For
Well,
sure.
I'm sure you've seen the compilation videos of them. Who do you think has a better walk?
Oh, I think in all regards, Naomi is just
Mhm,
way more cunt.
mhm.
And I
Right.
think
They have different walks.
Well-
I lean more on the wanting something to be a little bit more cunt than cute.
Right.
Okay.
right.
You know what I will say, because Tyra is my number one. I appreciate her walks because, especially then, she was an actress.
Like
And and she'll
personality.
even say, and she's like, "Girl, I was doing too much. I was a drag queen out there." But
I
it's
miss it. I
memorable.
miss when the girls would give a show and the spins.
Yeah,
and-
because I mean, even yes, she was doing like the spins and the cutesy and the personality. Like she had that, and I even feel like Naomi wasn't just like a walk, like a hanging. What do they call it? A walking hanger down the
Right.
runway. You know what I mean? Like there was still
Right.
personality. It's just completely different.
Right.
You know what it was? I think their whole feud really just comes from having a scarcity mindset, and it's not their fault. It was the media. But like you were saying, like, oh, if there were two new twins coming to take your spot, like those feelings would be so valid. Of, oh no, like someone's gonna take my spot. But really, we have to remind ourselves that there is a piece of the pie for everyone, and we should never get in that state of feeling like someone's going to take something from us, because what's meant for you is meant for you. So,
It's like with girls being like, "Oh, he's gonna take my man." I'm like, "Girl, then you could have him."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're right with that. Now, Naomi, I'm curious what you think of where drag fashion is at the moment. What's it giving? The trends. Like, what do you think of the state of drag fashion at the moment?
Oh, I'm trying to think of the trends that I'm seeing a lot right now. I feel like everyone's in their like inches game right now. Like everyone's like,
long hair.
yeah, long hair is
Mhm.
definitely the thing.
Would you say bundled hair or just long?
I think just long.
Okay, so we're getting thin and wispy,
Right.
but long. They're like it's 70 inches, but 2 bundles.
Yes.
Right, okay.
If.
Right.
Right.
But whatever.
In my mind, I want like the nasty gay faggot that lives inside of you. I want like a camera, like in your. I don't know. I guess you would have to insert a chip or
inside
something.
out. Like
Right?
Yes,
And like
yes.
for some reason, I'm thinking of like, say if like it was your brain and it was all gushy, there's like a cunty little gay, like with his legs crossed, and he's just kind of
Lips
reading the
pursed.
girls. Lips pursed, and he's reading the girls. Like I want that, Naomi. I need that camera. I need like the 24-hour live footage, because I just like respect you so much, and I'm just like so
Aw,
curious on your
thank you.
opinions and your tea.
you have to tell me the trend, because I honestly I feel like in my head everything is still like chaps, long hair, and like
Right.
creepy knockoffs.
Well, maybe we
Right.
should get into our game of fashion or faux pas.
Ooh, okay. I'm
Should we
down.
get into? I love a natural segue.
We love. I mean, this is going to be interesting because I feel like drag trends, they take from real girl trends basically, but in a more dragified kind of like bar showgirl type ways. So even with the clean girl
Why did
aesthetic,
showgirl feel so offensive?
I don't know.
In a bar
Yeah.
showgirl way.
But you know what I mean? Like whatever's happening in the mainstream kind of trickles on over into drag. So, 10 years ago, 2016 makeup, even the girls in our high school, they were doing a cut crease.
Right.
But now it's more the Hailey Bieber, the clean girl, the low bun. So I think just in general, the girls have been going softer. But I think that's a good thing because I think it's almost a misconception. I think with drag makeup, of course, there's drag liberties for a reason. But I think the cutting the cheek and the this and the harsh contours, a lot of the times it actually does the opposite effect and it actually makes you look maybe more manly or more
Right.
harsh.
More hard.
Mm.
Yeah, which is not.
I think you have to just have structure in the right places. Maybe the eyes, maybe I don't know.
It's also just fun to go through different eras with your
Oh, for sure.
like with your drag.
We all have our era where we just wear a barely there lash. We all have our era of so much makeup. Like
We'll have our clown era.
Like the
yes.
yes, absolutely.
Do
Like
you have a clown era?
I feel like yes, I feel like my like All Stars 4 face is my clown era. Low key.
Okay.
Like
But
not in
you
a
gave
not
those.
not in a bad way. Oh, like I
Right.
said like clown is in a bad way.
Well, clown just as in like you were really like you were doing all the steps.
Yeah, I was like doing the like
the work.
Right.
the size 4 glitter and
Right.
the stones under the
I feel like you were iconic for the bottom lashes though. You know?
thank you. Yeah, I don't know what that even really started from. It just something to put there.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing with bottom lashes, you can never really go wrong because I feel like they always feminize in a sense because it just makes it dull. Also, I feel like they shorten a mid face. And like that's why I love makeup. I'm very into the science and like changing your features and
Yeah,
stuff.
you guys are very about the like sizing. Like
Yeah.
about
We're
the
very
proportions.
into
Yes.
it.
Like
Yeah.
you guys are very like
But sometimes yes, thank you. But sometimes I'll see someone with like a longer face and then they'll do the drag trend of trying to go so upswept and pulled when in actuality what would benefit them is going more rounder and actually really smoking it out and shortening that and doing more blush on the apples to kind of shorten that long mid face.
Right. The apple. She's a choreo girl.
Okay, she's a choreo queen.
I don't know why, but I do know why, but when everyone says like Apple now, I just like it's like my
Right.
intrusive thought.
Well, as you should.
Yeah.
Well, as you should.
She's up to date.
Speaking of drag trends, we actually have a really fun game called Is It Giving Fashion or Faux Pas? So let's get into the trend.
I'm wondering, but I think it's going to turn into what the trend is because I think we don't know what the picture is about to give.
It's like, what is worse, the nose contour or the hairline?
Both.
Already we know.
I feel like this whole episode is just like one of us saying the most rotted thing and then we just laugh. It's like the mean bitches in high school. It's like, well, at least they like each other.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
The
We're
plastic.
kind of giving like a
Yeah.
fashion panel right now.
Oh, okay. So we have our first trend. Miss Naomi, what is your tea on a kitten heel?
You know what? If I were not a drag performer and I was a
Normal girl.
Everyday girl.
an everyday girl, I would definitely be all about the kitten heels. I've tried to bully myself into having that confidence to like wear kitten heels. I just don't think I could ever do it on stage. But I think there's a time and a place, and I don't know if stage is it. What about you?
Right. I mean, that picture is sending me. That is the tiniest. That must be like the little centimeter of a heel.
like a
It's
belly
kind of giving like the
button.
Wicked Witch or like,
Someone
like
got
when
in.
her feet like curled over.
Like
and,
underneath the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's worse, a kitten heel or a heel that doesn't fit?
I'm gonna say kitten because I'll definitely wear some heels that don't fit.
Well, I mean,
Well, is
that's
it
just the
better- would you rather
reality.
too small or
That's
too
just the
big?
reality.
That's
It's
just
like
the reality.
it's sickening, and we squeeze in, and we'll edit after. You know.
I would rather the shoes be, I think,
Yes.
too small.
Oh, okay. Wait. So what's this trend?
Okay, so our next trend is long
Long nails?
nails, or I guess it could also be short nails. So, is it a faux pas or is it fashion?
Oh, I think it's fashion.
A long nail.
I think a long, maybe not that long, but the whole look makes sense for this.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're looking at Simone's nail look with the nail pigtails, and
This is the nail look.
I think these nails make sense with this look.
No,
You know
for
what? I
sure.
kind of love a long nail because then no one expects you to do anything.
Mm.
You can just be a prima donna, and then it's like, oh my god, I can't do. Oh, I'm literally missing a nail right now. But like you don't have to do anything, especially when they're that long. They can also kind of double as like a weapon and like protection.
Yeah, have you guys ever worn a nail that long?
I
Um,
wore, like, really long claw ones once.
Mm,
They're really like, do not try to,
do anything.
do anything,
no.
get up in the nether regions with that because that won't work, but
They're great
they're
to pick a booger,
fun. I think it's
right?
better than no nails.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Once
well,
you start wearing
yeah,
nails and
yeah,
then you don't, it's like I just feel like a man.
for sure.
It's like, but then also at the same time, it's making your hand longer
Well, when they're too
essentially.
long, it makes them even bigger, so it's,
Mm.
like, the right medium,
It's just crazy when it, like, curves. Like, when it has to hit a
Right.
point where it has to curve
Right.
for the weight, it's
Mhm.
insane.
Yeah, I would love a mukbang chat because there's girls and
Mm.
like they eat and they have it, and I'm like, but what happens when the sauce gets up in the nail, and then later that night you're going to bed and you're like itching something, and then you get like juice from your dinner earlier. Like,
Girl,
no,
what?
like you literally have to wash your hand, then you have to wash your nails.
Yeah.
Anyway, our next trend: painted hairlines. Is it fashion
Oh.
or is it a faux pas?
I would say this is a faux pas.
Right. I mean, maybe
Yeah,
it was fashion in, like, 1998?
I don't think then either, because it was
no.
still matte. It's like it's hard to, um, fool the eye when something like the hair has so much shine and detail
Right.
and like, there's literally strands, and then you're just putting, like, a matte layer at your hairline,
Right.
so it's, like, 2 different, things like, the light just
Reflective
catches
surfaces,
yes.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's really hard to, like, really believe it unless you're, like, in the back of the club.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Right.
This gives me the drag queens that are like, "Oh, girl, I paint for the stage. I do my mug in 45 minutes and go out there." It's like, well, maybe you shouldn't be parading around that you do your mug in 45 minutes because we can tell.
I think there's just also other hairstyles that you can
Get that effect?
have the hair away from your face without having to do this. I think it's the girls that don't like to glue on a lace front. I
Okay, well, because
really
I
think
was
that's what
Yeah.
it
wondering
is.
what do you think is the purpose? Because 'Cause I'm like, did it exist because we didn't have lace fronts back then, so they had to do a hard front and then try to blend it? Was that the purpose, or was it just they didn't wanna wear a
Maybe.
full wig?
Oh, I didn't even think about that
That's what I thought it was,
Maybe.
detail.
but now I'm like, "Oh, maybe it's just they wanted to use their natural hair."
Oh, the hard front detail is a good thing to
Right.
remember. Huh.
Right. So we're
But,
so
I mean, I guess there's
privileged.
no
We're
excuse
like,
Yeah.
now.
you could be on TikTok and get your human hair bundle, girl. I
Literally,
mean,
like, lace fronts are not like, I think season 3, like, Manila had, like, the first lace front that was ever
yeah.
on the show. Dear God, I just keep talking about damn Manila.
She's a fashion icon, honey. Okay, so our next trend is this drag jewels?
Fierce drag
Wait,
jewels.
Mm.
Spice, I couldn't. Oh, what is it? Okay, pageant queens.
Oh.
Well, I guess maybe this is more about a conversation of pageant drag today. Do you feel like there is a place for it? Do you feel like it's almost like, girl, it's so like done?
Yeah,
Like,
what are your thoughts on, like, the state of pageant drag?
Oh, I mean, I have so much respect for pageant queens. Like they are fighting tooth and nail for the smallest amount of prize money. It's literally all
Right.
about the credibility and like the bragging rights.
Right.
So you have to respect that because so
I
much
agree.
like money goes into it and
Mhm.
so much like stress and dynasty and legacy and there's so many families that are birthed from it. Um I think that on the show it's not necessarily respected,
Right.
sadly. I think that
Right.
like the show does a interesting way of making it seem so dated and
Which is
Well, that's
weird
true, but
because
also at the same time, if you don't give certain classic drag elements that are could be considered more
mhm,
pageant, then they don't respect it too. So it
right.
is kind of like a weird line. But I always respect a pageant queen because I'm like, like call it dated, call it redundant, whatever. But they're always gonna be polished to
Mhm.
some extent. Like they're gonna make sure the nails on. They're gonna make sure the earrings on. You
They know
know.
the importance of quality of feathers and,
Right.
the cuts and the jewelry and all that jazz. So, like, yeah, I love pageant. I loved have you guys ever been to Continental?
no, I want to go
You
though.
guys have to go
I
one
wanna
day.
see the full fantasy because in my mind, I wouldn't say I do pageant drag, but I think of it more as, like, a Miss Universe.
Mm,
So it's
Right.
like, if I'm tapping into a more pageant look, I will take I mean, Malaysia, our drag mom, like, I love her drag so much because she takes her, like, pageant aesthetic and then puts it towards,
She
well, I
takes,
guess
like, fashion
she
references
takes the
on the red carpet to make it more
oh,
current in a
yes.
sense.
Oh, she had, like, that yellow floral,
Yes, 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 yes,
Yes.
yes.
Richard Quinn
Mhm.
was it Richard?
Mhm.
Yeah, everything.
Love.
I love that. Like that's how you do it well. Like you mix the worlds of
Right.
drag and
I
pageantry
completely
Yes.
agree.
together.
Because we all have our pageant emo. I mean, someone could think wearing a gown or wear, like, girl, I have my fierce. This is my. I don't know if it's fierce drag jewels, but it's given from Sandy
Sandy
Alley.
Alley.
So we all have our moments.
Okay, so our next trend is monochrome looks.
Mm.
So what's your tea on this? I know a lot of queens, like a JanSport or a Nymphia, they love to base their whole brand on a color.
Mhm.
What's your tea on that? Is it fashion or faux pas?
I mean, I love a monochromatic look. I don't know if I would necessarily love a monochromatic lifestyle for myself because there's not really a color I would.
Well,
Are
what
you
would your
living a
color be if
monochromatic
you
lifestyle?
same hair color, same nails, same shoe, and you could only be that color?
Probably chocolate brown, honestly. I love chocolate brown or red.
You're so like Dolce and Gabbana, like from the or what was that other brand we love? Roberto Cavalli in the early 2000s, and
Right.
it was all the rich tones. You're
I
very
feel like if you're
hot.
sugar, you're
I love her
definitely like the brown cinnamon sugar. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Like, yeah.
I feel like I can actually relate to both of your guys' styles of drag. I feel like
Okay.
I love like the edge that Spice has, and I love like it's
Girliness.
it's like the girliness. It's
Mhm.
not like a I wouldn't say cutesy. It's
Right.
like it's just like a girliness.
I love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you? Oh yeah. Normally we would you say you're more sugar is about or like you're kind of like like for your own personal style.
Oh, for my own I probably more sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Probably
Mhm.
more sugar.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Like, do you find yourself wanting to give more like coquette romantic, or do you like to have like the edgy moments and stuff?
I feel like the edgy moments are always gonna be there. Like, I
Right.
think, like,
Okay.
there's
You're
always
a
gonna be
blend.
yeah, I think I'm a blend.
Yeah,
You're
you definitely
truly
are a
our third
blend.
brain cell.
You
Everything
are.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next trend is a lot of blush. Is this
Mm,
fashion or a faux pas?
I love it. I think it's
Same.
We all have a
fashion.
little blush
I
blindness,
think it's
right?
fashion. I even think,
Mhm.
like, every single time I'm doing my blush, I'm like, I could go harder, and then, like,
Mhm.
I leave the house, and I'm like, I wish I went harder.
I
Right.
agree
Well, I'm
because
curious, what's your favorite blush placement? I know everyone has different face shade and they like it in a different way. Like for you, what do you like the most?
Oh, I mean, I definitely do it on the apples of my cheeks, and I
Mhm.
try to blend like the Kimchi Chic has this one called June
Mhm.
that is like a really good shade from transitioning from your contour into like just like a warmer before you go into like another blush, like your pinks and your peaches and everything. So it's like a
Right, right,
nice
right,
like
right, right.
transition. So I
Yes.
feel like my whole like contour to like apple on my cheek is my favorite
No, I'm
placement.
admiring your
yes.
blush now. I feel blush is interesting because some girls I see
Get that
that
blush,
they
baby.
add it on the nose and then they do on the. I love a blush on the temple moment too.
Mm.
Just kind of
Hmm.
because if you have so much here,
Yes.
I feel like if you don't, it might just I don't know. It kind of blends it all
Right.
Have
together.
you guys done any of those like super like kind of like an editorial like blush moment
Blush.
where it's like all that
Right.
before, and then you like glue
Mhm.
your lace front on it, and it's like your lace front turns pink
I
after.
know, it's devastating, and then you
Right.
wear it, and, then you're wearing that wig, like, a few weeks later, and you're like, "Oh, just throw her on,"
Uh-huh.
and then you're sitting there, and you're like, "Why is my lace pink?"
Also, props to you for being always blonde because there's always gonna be makeup in your
It's always
blonde.
gonna
There's
be orange.
always gonna be
Yeah.
makeup in your
I
blonde.
know,
It's like such a moment.
well, luckily for me, somehow my lace is always lifting, so I don't even think it gets, the makeup gets caught in it because my lace is never glued to my head. Uh,
Oh,
well, the bell just rang. When we come back, we're gonna get into our favorite segment, Show and Tell. And we are back. Okay, Miss Naomi, what do you have to show the class today?
Okay, so I knew I was coming. Two brains.
I
Two
like
brain
that.
cells
Two
We've been
left.
saying
brains.
two brain cells or
Two
what?
brain cells
Two
left.
brain cells. Yes.
Yeah.
You got
Okay.
it right.
Okay. So I knew I was coming today, and I figured I should probably do show and tell that like makes sense for us, all of us. So I brought a doll,
Oh my god, I'm excited.
So
and
excited.
since it's we all
Oh.
have like the same, we all have a designer that we all love to work with,
Right, yes. We all
Michael,
share Michael, yes, as a
Michael
designer.
Brambilla.
Mhm.
So this is a My Scene doll, I believe that he did a
So he
repaint.
he made it for you?
Yeah, he did like a repaint. Oh, he did this look. Oh, no, ew.
Oh my
Okay.
god, he ate that
Can I
up.
see her?
He's
Yeah,
literally so talented.
we're chopping the bobby pins.
See, she's the
Oh my
detailed
god,
girl.
I
She's
love
like,
you
I
getting
can't
her
have
ready.
doll Naomi looking a mess.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that.
Oh my god, she's sickening though. Yeah, for the kids at home that don't know, we all share some designer, and he's
Michael.
amazing. And like he's amazing. He's probably watching right now. He supports,
Hey,
and
Michael,
he
we
does.
love you. Thanks
We
for
love
snatching my
you.
waist every week.
And he's amazing because he does these. He'll like duct tape you and like fully mold your body to get the perfect fit. And yeah, oh my
This is so
god.
glam. I need a full show of you just brushing doll hair.
Wait, wasn't that one of your iconic lines? What'd you say?
Brush your hair, bitch.
Brush your hair, bitch.
Brush your goddamn hair.
Brush your hair before you come
The
talk to
fact,
me.
I know this is like a sidetrack and we're getting into the doll right now, but the fact that you did, what was it, Drag Race Live? What was that show called?
Yes, Drag Race Live Vegas review.
And for me, I like was so into that because normal Drag Race, it's just, it doesn't really spark my interest because it's,
You want the drama and like
well, no,
well, it was kind of giving Housewives in a
Yeah, it
sense
really
because it was more behind the scenes.
Like
Was there?
real.
Is there? Are they doing more of that, or is it done?
I don't know. I mean, that was 2 years ago. I don't think it got
Right.
picked up.
and then like the dramatic like COVID ending, I was so invested.
No,
I
it
mean-
was good. Y'all were giving it. You were entertaining.
I kind of wish that they did it when we returned from COVID because like learning the show and also filming a TV show at the same, like learning a strip show and then filming a reality television show at the same time was like, it was a crazy schedule.
Right. Oh my god.
And I wish we could have done it afterwards because we were all just like so comfortable in the show, and then we could have really just been like fighting with each other. Oh, but they are doing it again.
Oh, they are?
They have a show on Wow Presents. Yeah.
Oh, word. Because,
Oh,
but there
okay.
was something
Good.
about you in a confessional in drag with like a sue a bitch bob, and
a
you were just
bob.
reading.
I know. I like actually like. This is kind of that hair.
It's so
Okay.
good. It's so good. Well, your doll is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's so amazing to see you personified. Is that the right word? Into a doll or like objectified into a doll? I don't
I
know.
like objectified.
Yeah.
Crystallized into a doll.
Because I mean, that's what drag really is. The cool thing about seeing you in doll form, it's like you zapped into a moment in time.
Oh my gosh, life size.
It's life
Yeah,
size.
it lives on. I mean, I think of drag as, of course, it's high art, but dolls are high art, especially when it's inspired by a drag look, because it kind of just, it's like an art piece. It just sits there. It's like a beautiful decoration.
For sure. For
I'm
sure.
obsessed.
It's like literally the only doll I actually have.
Oh my god.
Besides a couple of brats, but
Oh, we had to change that.
I
Yeah, we
know.
gotta get you
I know.
one.
I said that out loud, and then I was like, oh my god, I said the wrong thing.
Okay, Naomi, what's your next item to show us?
Okay, well, I also, since I knew where I was coming, I know that you guys love Paris Hilton.
Yes.
Of course,
And,
yes.
I mean, I grew up on her. Like that.
Mhm.
That was the reason why in 6th grade, when everyone was like going around the circle of like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And everyone was like, astronaut, doctor. I was like full on socialite. Like I just want to be a socialite. I didn't know what the hell that
obsessed.
was at that time, but I mean,
Oh.
this was like my holy grail as a kid.
This is her story.
Okay, so
I know on DVD.
Oh my god.
if you're just
Yes.
listening to the audio, Naomi just whipped out a full collection of Simple Life CDs. Oh, girl, this is Goes to Camp. We have every
Oh my
season
God.
here.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite is definitely 2 Road Trip.
Is that season 2?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I heard they're doing a new one, so I'm excited for
No,
that.
I'm excited for that
Yeah.
too. Nicole Richie is like my Virgo sister as well. So
Ooh.
Wow. No, I mean, Paris, we always say she's our #1 dream guest to come on this show. So the fact that you pulled her
I
up, I'm
know.
obsessed.
love.
No, Paris is iconic. We actually were with her a few weeks ago. Well, the devastating thing is we were supposed to be in her Bad Bitch Academy music video, but we had a gig, so
The
it
one
just didn't
gig we
work.
had.
The one gig we had, we couldn't go. But then it ended up working out, and she was like, "Don't worry, we'll have our moment." And then she invited us to do a little social media thing, so it was still really fun.
So cool.
But it was really interesting because we roll up to set and there were the other influencers that were also going to do a video of her as well. Because, you know, she's the promo marketing queen.
Mhm.
And I have a.
We have drag blindness. We're so used to being like in the full fantasy and stuff. We roll up, and then I'm thinking, I just forget what everyday people wear, you know? So I'm just thinking, like, I was 2 seconds away from asking one of them to, like, brush my hair or whatever. I thought they were just
And they're
like,
fully the
staff.
talent.
And they were fully the talent.
Right.
And they're like, oh no, we're
They're in a
like the
full beat, too.
TikTokers. And I was like, I'm not up to date on the TikTokers. And I was supposed to be the TikTok queen.
Well, that's my thing. Like when you're used to being on set with drag queens and then you enter the more straight places and you're the only queen, you know, you're looking for like the bright red wig.
Right.
And you're like, oh, okay, that's the other queens we can talk to. So I'm fully walking in, and it's Paris is so iconic because, and we've done a few things with her, So we're used to the fantasy. She comes over to greet all the talent, and she had the light. She had all the cameras. I think they were filming
Like,
their
we're
reality
making
show.
content.
Right, yeah.
So she comes over to us, and we're in drag. We're in full bit. So we just start talking about a minute she's engaging with us. I
We
think the
see a camera, we look, we're like, it's go
right,
time. And we're
and
like,
I was glam.
like
so
all of a sudden like I see a camera, shoulders back, and we're like, sup Harris? Like, you know what I mean? It's very, everyone else gets quiet. You can hear a
Just
pin drop.
on.
Right, yeah.
And then the rest of the talent was
Stay
like,
hydrated.
Was this planned?" And we're like, "No, we're you don't have to, get ready when you stay ready."
Well, I need you in Paris together. I think that would be sickening. Like you giving like a Nicole Richie Paris moment.
I love her. Yeah, I love her. I have to meet her one day.
You will. You will.
She's
You will.
fierce.
Obsessed. Okay, do you have one more item for us,
think
or
I-
is it a photo?
Yeah, I think I was told to bring a childhood photo of myself.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Oh
I'm
my
excited.
gosh!
Okay, so this is me as a kid. You can definitely tell I'm gay.
Oh
my
my God, you are the cutest little
God.
baby angel.
You're so sweet.
Oh my, how old are you there?
Oh, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4.
Wow.
Now, what would you tell young Naomi right now if she was standing in front of you?
Cherish this hairline.
Oh, so she is an icon.
Okay.
Cherish
Wait,
this
also I love the
fucking
pose. You're like,
hmm So young you would be doing the slick backs. Like you'd be snatching that up into a pony and ready to go.
Probably not. I think I'd be too masculine at that
Oh,
point.
right.
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 Yeah.
Or
Right.
too J.
I mean, do you
Right.
ever
Oh,
oh,
Teresa
seriously.
Giudice.
I mean, do you ever wonder what younger you, if they saw you in drag, if they would even realize, like if younger you would realize it's you? Because I didn't know about drag. Like if I saw a picture of me right now,
Right.
I wouldn't assume that this is me,
Right.
probably.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Like, looks so different from like
Mm.
those baby drag days, and
Right.
just not even knowing that I could do these things
Right.
with my face. And
I mean, you're so
makeup
magical.
and-
Drag is magic. Hello.
A unicorn.
No, I'm literally like so happy you came on the show today. You entered the Bimbo Verse classroom because it's just so nice. It's like, don't meet your idols, but it was so cool to meet you and that person that I saw, because you didn't know the history of that. And you meet so many drag queens, like especially when you're a baby queen. You look up to the alumni, you look up to the girls,
For sure.
and then you meet them, and then you're like, oh, girl, like, why did I, you're like, oh, we're gonna have so much in common, we're gonna be besties. And then you meet them, and you're like, oh, they're kind of a bitch. But I'm so happy
But that
that
makes her
wasn't.
sickening.
And that's what makes her sickening. But I'm just so happy. It was
Aw.
such a positive experience. And honestly, when we really got to kiki at the Pride Party last year, or earlier this year, it was like I finally met a drag queen that was into the same things I was, and we could just jump right to it. And we're going and ga. So it's just refreshing to meet another artist that is, in the same. We're also different, but there are similarities, which is nice.
For sure. And you guys have always just been so kind and so easy and so warm. Like when we of course run into each other, and I know what you're talking about when, especially living here, like you
Mhm.
look up to so many
Right.
people, and then you're like, oh, that's different.
Right.
That's just
You
not
never know.
what you just have. It's hard when you have expectations in your head,
Right,
But
yeah.
yeah, thank you guys for always being so kind and warm and saying
Of
all
course.
the
I mean,
nice
you're the
things about me.
warmest. Also,
Yeah.
you give an amazing hug.
Oh, thank
You
you.
get but that's the thing about hugs. Sometimes hugs can be really intimate, especially if it's not like a side hug, like, hey girl. If you're giving someone like a body to body hug, that could be like, but like if it's a good hug, it's a good hug.
Maybe the height or the bones. I don't know, but I do get
Right.
that compliment a lot, and that's
Really?
very
Oh, they
nice.
say you give a good hug?
Maybe I should be a chiropractor, actually.
Ooh, crack
Crack
some
some
backs.
backs.
Okay, well, before we leave class today, Miss Naomi, why don't you plug yourself? I mean, the doll has been here. You haven't even promoted anything. You've just graced us with your presence.
That's normally what I do. I normally just come in and look good.
But,
But if you want to find me, you can find me online at Instagram on Naomi Smalls. And I think my YouTube is Naomi Smalls Da. I gotta get better at that one.
No response.
Yeah.
Da. I love it, da.
Oh, but you're also Naomi's World coded, Sugar's World. I live. We're
Oh,
like in the same
yes.
universe.
Oh, we really are. Yes. Oh my god.
Yes.
Yes.
Y'all are kind of, the Fairy Odd Parents universe where it's like the two worlds. It's like Sugar's World, Naomi's World. Which one do we go in?
Yes. Obsessed.
Aw, thank you guys so
Aw.
much for having me.
We literally entered Naomi's world. I'm obsessed.
We did.
If you're new here, definitely subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below your favorite part about today's episode.
Well, I want to hear everyone's what their fashion drag faux pas.
Get it right, girl.
Channel the nasty faggot inside of you.
That's the takeaway from today's episode. We all have a nasty faggot deep down inside of us, just judging every little move everyone makes. And yourself.
Well, some of us, it's not that deep. It's just there.
What if the nasty faggot that lives inside of me actually is just my twin?
And vice
Oh,
versa.
okay.
Well, to the nasty faggots at home, bleep. Send us an email at, what is the email, sir? twobraincellsleftshow@gmail.com. I was not just fed that line. It came to me organically.
Right. But can I
And-
do my Fed line to end it?
Oh, okay. But it was my line about shaving the grandma's
Well, it's
back.
my line now, sweetie. Thank you. We
Whatever.
sound like gays in the WeHo bar. They're like, that was my line.
Should we all say it together? We're going to go shave our grandma's back.
Okay, let's
All right.
do it.
1,
One,
2, 3.
We're gonna go shave our grandma's back
Bye.
now.
Two Brain Cells Left is produced by Moguls of Media, aka Mom.
Hosted by Sugar and Spice.
Produced by Joseph Shepard.
AV technical direction and editing by Margot Padilla.
AV technician Kyle Mapson.
With theme music by Sugar and Spice.
Media and design support by Stone Cole.
Set design by Era Sevilla.
Executive produced by Willem Alaska, Big Dipper, Camille Stennis, and Joe Cilio.
Recorded at Forever Dog Productions.